they've got 2 with the world champion Phillies. 5 back in the wild card. 8 back in the East. 12 games left. You do the math. These are must-win games. Can the Fish catch fire? It's hot. It's late September, and the Marlins need this double dip.
Are you ready for some baseball? On a hot Florida afternoon, the Marlins and the Phillies will start a doubleheader in the sun, in the heat. Huge day for the Fish. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The Marlins have their backs to the wall. I mean, if you do the math in this one, certainly the Marlins have to play every game, Tommy, like it's the last game, the 7th game of a postseason series.
I think, Rich, we may see Freddie making moves that way. We may see him make a move that you would say, well, why do that in the first game of a doubleheader? But he has to approach it as if this is the last game of the season. You only have one chance to win. He has to win as many as possible.
And here is the math. When you look at the standings coming in both the wild card and the East, obviously in the East, the Fish are 8 back, tied with Atlanta in the wild card as well, 5 behind Colorado.
You know, the frustrating thing for Marlins fans, it doesn't seem like there is much stopping the Colorado Rockies. They continue to play well. And the Atlanta Braves could be the hottest team in the National League now.
Okay, let's talk about this ball game, the very first one. It's 2 games. The Marlins have to approach them, obviously, one at a time. Josh Johnson, it's a great way to start a 3-game series to roll JJ out there, but Joe Blanton has pitched well for the Phillies this year.
You know, the roll of the dice was pretty good for the Marlins to start this doubleheader. With Josh Johnson opening up the series, JJ's 4-1 in 7 career starts against Philadelphia, but as Rich mentioned, Joe Blanton has pitched well too. He's 3-1 in his career against the Marlins. Jamie Moyer, we all know about him. However, he is only 2-2 against the Marlins this year, but that's the good news. The bad news, he's 8-0 against the Fish in his career in this ballpark. Anibal Sanchez, he has struggled against Philadelphia, 0-4 with an ERA over 8.
So there you have it. It's a big day for the Fish, a big night for the Fish as they open this 2-game day, 3-game series against Ryan Howard and the Phillies. Coming up, Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine. We'll talk Phillies and Marlins. Look out. South Florida ready for the Fish and the Phillies. Doubleheader, first of 2. We've got both of them for you here in Landshark Stadium. And it was just hours ago that the Dolphins and the Colts were playing on this surface. The grounds crew has done a miraculous job of turning this into a baseball field once again. Let's start our day down below with Craig Minervini.
Well, thank you, Rich, and good afternoon again, everybody. A quick look at the National League. There are about 10 teams or so that have no chance. They will play meaningless games. They have been for a while. In some cases, they've got nothing left to play for. That is not the case with this Marlin club. Yes, it is a long shot, and the guys know that. They're going to try and worry about winning a game at a time, pick a couple off and see where they stand. And nonetheless, it's meaningful games with 2 weeks to go, and that's something they can take forward with them. We talk with the guys to get a little clubhouse feel for what they're thinking about as they head into this big series against the Phillies.
We got two tough ones, but we're ready for it, and we know in here what we have to do. We got to play a lot better than we did this past weekend.
It's not an impossible task for us to make a run here these next couple of weeks, but obviously we got to. Every game is a must-win.
You know, they're leading the division and one of the best teams in baseball right now. And we have to, you know, make up some ground.
These are big games here. These are really big games. We've got to beat the teams in front of us. I know we got Philly and Atlanta coming up, and then Philly again. And even with the Mets, we got 12 games. We got to give it all we got.
We know what we need to do. We've been throwing a lot of innings and keeping our team in ball games, and hopefully we can get some solid pitching so our bullpen can kind of set into their roles and take care of things.
You know, it's going to take a pretty good winning streak for us. Everybody knows that. It's no secret, but it's got to start tonight with this first game against Bland. We got to jump on them early.
Starts with JJ today. I mean, it's a great guy to be able to set the tone for us today early, so it'll be fun.
It is exciting, and you know, there's a lot of implications, and I've never been in this situation before, so I just try to treat it like any other situation that I have been in, and that is, you know, in order to advance and to keep playing, you have to win.
And just in case your mind wanders after 150 games and you're not thinking about what you should be thinking about, that guy right there, Wes Helms, will make sure that your focus is, hey, I was on a club that was 7 out with 17 to go. It was crazy, and we did it. We'll see. We may not, we may. But let's go for it and see what happens and make sure we're focused on trying to win a baseball game, game 1, and then worried about game 2. Cliche, yes. It's the kind of attitude the Marlins have to have here as they approach the final 12 games of the season. Hey, it's going to be a fun one here this afternoon as it's a doubleheader. And Josh Johnson will go for his 16th win in game 1 as he faces Joe Blanton and the world champion Phillies. Ball games coming up with Rich and Tommy.
Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by your Southeast Toyota dealer. Get all the quality and reliability of a Toyota during Toyota's Best for Less sales event. Toyota, moving forward. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by FP&L, to learn smart ways to conserve energy, log on to fpnl.com. It's hot. It's South Florida. It's a doubleheader. The Marlins and the Phillies. And imperative for the Fish to win at least one of these 2 games, if not sweep the double dip. Here are the Phillies. Jimmy Rollins leads it off, having a subpar season, but he's been picked up by a good year of Shane Victorino. Utley and Howard so solid. Jason Worth has exploded this year. Raul Ibanez has cooled down after a hot start. Miguel Cairo up from AAA. Paul Baco starts behind the plate in the first game, and Joe Blanton will hit 9th. Jimmy Rollins, fastball. That would be a strike, Dan Iasonia says. as Josh Johnson gets the start.
And a good start with J.J. throwing a good fastball strike. And against the ball club, Rich, that in his 2 starts this year, Josh Johnson has worked 13 innings, giving up 7 base hits and just 1 run.
Johnson, obviously the ace of this Marlins ball club. Rollins, the igniter for the Phillies World Championship team last year, not having that type of season this year. But the Phillies are so good offensively that even with Rollins struggling at the top, they've been able to put up immense numbers, lead the National League in home runs, lead the National League in runs scored. Rollins goes after a rising fastball, and Johnson has his first strikeout.
Check on the defense, and as you mentioned, Rich, it's a bright, sunny start here to this 4 o'clock first game with Coughlin, Ross, and Carroll. So get the glasses ready. The eye black, Cantu, and Johnson at the corners. And catching the first game is John Baker.
Here is Victorino, and he takes a strike. The flying Hawaiian hitting close to 300. You can see he's had a good year against the Marlins. Johnson going right after him. Quickly the count is 0-2.
A couple of early sliders, which have been good. Sometimes we've seen J.J. go out there and the first inning throw nothing but fastballs.
His 0-2 pitch. Man, pumps it in there at 96. And he has struck out the first 2 Phillies that he has faced. Imperative for Johnson and for Bland to have an economy of pitches in this heat.
Well, he has just blown 2 pretty good hitters away. Jimmy Rollins and Shane Victorino with high fastballs.
Here's Utley now. Chase Utley's numbers, as usual, impressive. 31 homers. He's driven in 91. Among the elite in the game. And he stands in with a .316 average against Josh Johnson in his career. But as Tommy pointed out, JJ's had success against the Phillies not only this year, but in his 7 career starts, he is 4-1 against Philadelphia. This is a ballpark, though, Tommy, that the Phillies feel very comfortable in.
It's a ballpark that Chase Utley is very comfortable in. He has a 14-game hitting streak in this park.
Right down the middle.
And we talked about it. The Marlins have yet to beat the Phillies here this year.
Amazing. And the Marlins have won 5 of 6 up in Philadelphia and still have 3 remaining. The last 3 games of the season against the Phillies. JJ's 1-2 on Utley, and that misses outside.
And I think obviously the goal is to take each game, try to win that game, as Josh misses with a fastball. But the goal also, you'd love to see those 3 games in Philadelphia be meaningful.
Absolutely. Utley fouls it off. There's a possibility that those 3 games in Philadelphia could be meaningful to the Marlins, but not to the Phillies, because the Phillies have an 8-game cushion in the East and an easy trail to clinch the division. But the Marlins 5 back in the wild card, hoping to hang in that race until the last week of the season. Oh, outside corner. Good afternoon. Josh Johnson is in the house. He took care of Jimmy Rollins, Shane Victorino, and Chase Utley. Scoreless ball game, bottom of the first. Here come the Fish. Marlins arrive with Chris Coghlan leading it off. Nick Johnson right behind him. Hanley Ramirez at short. Jorge Cantu's at third. Dan Uggla at second. John Baker catching. Cody Ross in center. Brett Carroll gets a big start in right. Josh Johnson will hit ninth.
Well, you look at the veteran right-hander, Joe Blanton, 28 years old. He's pitched well against the Marlins this year, 3-1, with a nice ERA, a little over 3.
Blanton, the former Oakland Athletic, delivers a fastball down low to Chris Coghlan. And Coghlan rolls in with a .310 average. A very good road trip. Already 31 hits in the month of September. Make that 32 into center field. Coghlan opens with a base hit to center field.
Well, the hits just keep on coming. A 6-game streak now for Chris Coghlan. He's just putting together another one. And here is our case for Chris Coghlan to be the National League Rookie of the Year. Rookie rankings. Look at that. Major League, National League, extra base hits, average, hits, multi-hit games. Nobody close. More hits than any major leaguer since the All-Star break. We'll throw that one in as a bonus.
Here is Nick Johnson. Stunning to hear that this weekend a national broadcast had a list of National League Rookie of the Year candidates, and they did not have Coghlan's name on them.
They had 4 names.
How does that happen?
Well, it's not stunning because we've come to just accept that, I guess. Well, we're not going to let it go. There's no rookie this year with 200 total bases either, except for Chris Coghlan.
Nobody has a better average in baseball or more hits in baseball since the All-Star break than Chris Coghlan. And that's, I'm not talking about rookies, I'm talking about everybody.
So forget about guys with Pittsburgh, Milwaukee. Their teams are out of it. I like this. I'm fired up. The first game of a doubleheader.
Johnson takes outside. Coghlan and the rest of the Marlins will get their real first national exposure on ESPN tomorrow night. Part of the Wednesday night package. They arrived tomorrow night. Of course, you can see the game on Fox Sports Florida, but throughout the nation, the game will be on ESPN.
We're going to give all those numbers and preach and preach and preach to Dave O'Brien and Rick Sutcliffe.
See, Obi already knows, because I saw Obi about 3 weeks ago on a game, and he was all over Coghlan. And so was Sutcliffe. They had Coghlan's name in the discussion. So they weren't the culprits this weekend that ignored Coghlan. Johnson with a count at 2-2, and Coghlan at first. Nick, ground ball up the middle. Utley shovels. Rollins turn in time. And Nick Johnson rolls into a double play. Blanton gets 2 quick outs. Up comes Hanley.
Well, we'll take a look at a defense. It's pretty good. It's the second best percentage in the National League. Ibanez, Victorino, and Worth. Miguel Cairo, a veteran. He's at third base. Ryan Howard, Utley, and Rollins up the middle. Paul Bacco, the veteran catcher, behind the plate. I think, Rich, for the Marlins to have success in this series, Nick Johnson, Cody Ross, Dan Uggla, they've got to catch a little fire, as does Hanley Ramirez, who's cooled off a little.
Yeah, the Marlin bats were not hot on the road. Hanley takes a fastball inside. The Marlins, in their 4 games in Cincinnati, scored just 10 runs. Hanley at .352, comfortably atop the National League, and it looks like he will win the first batting title in Marlins history. Blanton misses, and it's 2-0. Hanley goes after a pitch in the dirt. Not a great swing on a 2-0 pitch.
Expect a better pitch when you have an aggressive swing, 2-0.
329 is where Albert Pujols sits. 352 is where Hanley Ramirez starts his day. Hanley also sitting on 39 doubles this year. And he smacks that one. A diving catch by Utley over the middle. One of the game's best, Chase Utley robbing Hanley Ramirez. And we are scoreless.
español está disponible vía SAP y es presentado por Taco Bell.
Second inning, scoreless. Phillies have Ryan Howard, Jason Worth, and Raul Ibanez against Josh Johnson, who was pretty darn dynamic in the first. 13 pitches is all he needed to strike out Rollins, Victorino, and Utley. And he goes 0-1 on the fearsome Ryan Howard.
There is that huge Ryan Howard shift, so you think it gets easier. The 4th, 5th, and 6th hitters, they all have over 30 home runs too.
Man. Yeah, the Phillies have cranked out some incredible numbers. Howard leading the parade. 41 homers, 123 driven in. And look at the numbers against the Fish this year. Fouls that one back up into the seats. 96 on the fastball. JJ looks very determined to pound the strike zone early.
Well, I think he knows if he does that, keeps the walks down, he can go deeper into the ball game.
1-2 line drive, base hit into right field. Tommy, this is going to be a great place to hit for the next few days, because with Monday Night Football in here last night and a great conversion job by the grounds crew, the grass here is extremely fast, the infield and the outfield.
So outfielders beware, and yeah, again, just a tremendous job by the grounds crew to get this thing ready. Outfielders beware of balls scooting through the gaps.
Yes, and if you put it in play hard on the infield, you got a shot at sneaking it through. Here is Worth.
Yeah, the Phillies are the 12th foursome. They have 4 players with 30 or more home runs. Jason Worth, as you see, one of them. He's had a career year.
Absolutely. Last year, 24 homers and 67 driven in. And it's 1-1. Worth, a guy that never quite was able to get a regular job in the big leagues, mainly because in the early part of his career he was hurt.
And the door kind of opened up for him when Aaron Rowan went on his way to San Francisco as a free agent. Victorino then moved to center, and that opened things up for Worth, who initially was going to be in a platoon role with Jeff Jenkins.
That one misses low and inside, and he got his invite, so to speak, to the Phillies from Pat Gillick. Gillick had remembered him from his days in Baltimore when Gillick was the GM and they had drafted Worth. That's a strike. Inside part, it's 3-2.
99 under the hands on the inside corner. Not too many hitters are going to turn on this pitch.
Howard at first.
Now the Phillies do have a lot of base stealers.
Yes, a lot of good ones.
Howard not one of them, but I'm curious to see what Charlie Manuel does 3-2 with nobody out. He's not going.
Not running, and Worth fouls it back.
All he had to do was look at his lead. He was a step off the bag.
There's Charlie. 5th year as the skipper of the Phillies, and of course last year a world champion. Led him to the postseason in 2007 as well. JJ lost him, so a single and a walk, and the Phillies are in business here in the second. Fans, you can lock in priority seating for the Marlins' new ballpark today. Purchase a current Marlins season ticket plan and reserve your spot. 1-877-MARLINS. Make sure you don't miss out on premium seating in the new Marlins ballpark. Here is Ibanez, who lit up the National League in the first half. He has cooled a bit in the second half, but it's still an RBI guy. He has slid further down in the Phillies order as Worth has caught fire. And of course, a local guy, Sunset High School, Miami-Dade Community College. Looked like a two-seamer that really died.
It's either a two-seamer or a changeup. Yeah, you see the first half numbers for Ibanez. Really tailed off, but when you average it all together, a very solid year.
Good pitch in on his hands.
And remember, he came in to replace Pat Burrell in left field. And it's not been that kind of year for Pat Burrell with Tampa Bay.
No. But Ibanez got a nice 3-year deal. Phillies have Howard at second. Worth is at first. Slow tapper. Johnson will pick it up and tag Ibanez out, but the Phillies are set up now for Miguel Cairo with Howard and Worth in scoring position. Johnson had 13 pitches in that first inning. He's already thrown 14 here.
Obviously, the Phillies did not want Ibanez to bunt, but that served the same purpose.
Here is Cairo, who started the season with the Phillies and then ended up being shipped out and played a season in AAA. He's a major league veteran, a guy that has been in a lot of places. JJ misses in.
He's one of those guys, Rich, that always shows up on a contending team because he can play all the infield spots. He can hit and run. He can do a lot with the bat.
Ball in the dirt, and JJ is 2-0. You've got Paul Bacco to follow, and then Joe Blanton, the pitcher.
You do have some outs in this inning to get out of this jam. But even so, you still have to make some pitches.
Johnson ready. Pitch to Cairo. He got a strike. It's 2-1.
Yeah, the walk in this inning to Jason Worth. First walk in a couple of starts for Josh Johnson. Last time out, that game in St. Louis, 6 innings, did not walk a batter. And I think because of that, that helped him get the 6 innings in.
Marlins have been cautious with Johnson's workload. Chopper to short. Hanley has it. Fires across to first. Johnson picks it. Phillies have a run. They're on the board first. Howard across. Nice play by Nick Johnson.
Yeah, the pick by Hanley. The throw was a little low with Howard coming in to score. You'll take the out early in the game. So Hanley, who has, as we have continued to point out, played very good defense this year. Got some help from Nick Johnson that time.
Played very well defensively on the road trip. Marlins are going to walk Bacco and go after Blanton. Even though Bacco is not lighting it up, you got a chance to end the inning by getting Blanton.
You know what, though? You have a guy, you have 2 guys back to back, actually, in Cairo and Bacco, veteran guys, been with many teams. But Bacco, in his travels, has hit .316 against the Marlins. And he's not a home run hitter, but he has 3 against the Fish. And then all you have to do is think about Cincinnati and Corky Miller.
Corky Miller was one of the stars in the series. The 4-game set in which the Marlins split with the Reds. He was throwing guys out at second and third. hitting balls out of the ballpark. Corky Miller, of all people. So here's Blanton. His biggest swing of his life came in the World Series game in which he started. It was game 4. He got the win and he homered against the Rays. High chopper. Uggla backing up, has it, and fires the first.
That was dangerous because we know the infield might be just a tad unstable, and he got a tricky hop that last one.
Johnson escapes with just a run, and it's 1-0 Phillies. Saturday afternoons were made for baseball. This week, Fox brings you the national game of the week, and it's Red Sox and Yankees. Fox Saturday Baseball this week, 4 Eastern on Fox. Landshark Stadium. We've got 2 ball games here. Joe Blanton, the pride of Kentucky, going for the Phillies in the first game. Blanton, part of the second Oakland rotation that Billy Beane dismantled in the last 6 years.
It's been a nice acquisition for Philadelphia. They acquired Blanton last year in July for 3 minor leaguers. We'll check in on the scouting report. He will elevate his fastball. He'll go from 80, 88, 89, and 93. He's very hard to run on. He's quick to the plate, does not allow many stolen bases. And ever since the Phillies acquired him, he's been a solid guy to give Charlie Manuel innings.
He was 5-12 with Oakland last year with an ERA of close to 5. And then down the stretch for the Phillies, he was 4-0 and pitched well in the postseason. Cantu now with Uggla and Baker to follow. Jorge against Blanton in his career is just 4 for 19. One of those 4 a home run. We have good audio behind the plate. Dan Iasonia, our home plate umpire. Mark Butler, our audio guru in the truck. Cantu rips one into center field. The Marlins have had good swings against Blanton. Coughlin a line drive single. Hanley a liner that Utley robbed up the middle. And now Cantu leads off the second.
Yep, that's good to see. And you start things with a base hit. You hope you can get yourself a nice inning going. So a good start by Jorge Cantu.
So here's Uggla.
Oddly enough, Blanton this year has pitched better at home in a cozy Citizens Bank ballpark. He's 7-3 at home.
Which is odd because the Phillies this year have played better on the road than they have at home.
He has better ERA at home.
Phillies at home are 42-32. On the road, 45-32. 29. That's the best road record in baseball. Shadows will become an issue, and right now the flags above the stadium, you can see them waving right in front of home plate.
That could be a little distracting. Somebody throwing 90 miles an hour.
Lands out front 0-2 to Uggla. Wow, that ball really got away, almost got over the head of Paul Bacco. A Philly rotation that seems to be overflowing with starters.
It's going to be decision time for Charlie Manuel come playoffs.
They have starters coming out of their ears.
Of course, I think his main decision and concern is his closer. He has plenty of starters. But what's he going to do in that closer role?
Yeah, there's injuries to consider. Jay Happ. How was his side?
He expects, Charlie Manuel told us before the game, he expects Happ to make his next start.
How's Pedro Martinez's neck? That one is outside. How is Chan-Ho Park's hamstring?
Brett Myers has had a little setback with his shoulder. Expects to be okay by next week.
J.C. Romero and Scott Air are two guys in the bullpen. They're a little nicked up right now. Everybody's got injury issues coming down the stretch and headed towards October. Carlos Ruiz, their regular catcher, nursing a sore wrist.
Yeah, he got hit by pitch, and then he got banged up on a play at the plate.
But they have a healthy Cole Hamels, a healthy Cliff Lee.
Actually, Hamels has been pitching his best.
He's only 10-9 this year. It's outside. Uggla, who was behind in the count 0-2, has worked the count full now, 3-2. See John Baker on deck. Glad you're with us. First of 2, Marlins and Phillies. The Phillies ride in here, having won 8 of 10 with an 8-game lead in the East. Thoughts of clinching here in the next week, dancing in their head. Uggla walks. Good at bat by Dan Uggla. Mikasuki brings you our weather. Come play our way. Good to see the Owl back on the show. 89 degrees, high humidity. It feels like 98 degrees. It's hot, and if you're going to play a doubleheader, that's tough. But to play the first game in temperatures like this can really grind you up.
The other thing, Rich, we have to alert our viewers. Email Tuesday, so you can get your thoughts, gather your thoughts here in game 1, and we'll go at it in game 2.
John Baker fouls it back. Baker with runners in scoring position, and he has a couple of hits in 9 at-bats against Blanton in his career. Like we told you, the Marlin bats were not all that impressive on the road trip, especially in Cincinnati. There's a chopper towards Utley, a shovel to Rollins. His turn is not in time. Baker beats it, and the Phillies get just the out at second. Good hustle by Baker.
Well, that sets up a first and third one-out situation just because he got down the line a little bit ahead of the throw. Close play, but he beat it. I think you could see the topspin, how quickly that ball got to Utley as he tried to turn the double play.
That's really an in-between spot, and he did beat it for a second baseman. Whether to do the backhand flip or whether to pivot, shovel it. Ross up. Cody goes after the first pitch and fouls it at the plate.
Well, these are those runs that you have to get when you have this first and third, man on third, less than 2 out.
There's Cantu. Baker across the diamond. Cody had a rough Cincinnati. He was 2 for 14 with 5 strikeouts. He had a much better time earlier this year in Philadelphia with a guy named Joe Blanton on the mound.
Fastball out over the plate, which is interesting because the last fastball he threw to Cody, he's tried to tie him up.
Phillies got their run in the top of this inning. Marlins trying to answer back.
You can see how he almost quick pitches. He comes set quickly and doesn't have much of a leg kick, and then sometimes a real good slide step.
Ross a swing and a miss. And a big punch out for Joe Blanton.
Again, you expect to win games like this, you've got to score that run. Now it becomes tougher with 2 out. Fastball, pretty good pitch, almost similar to the pitch we saw Cody hit for the home run off Blanton in Philadelphia.
Freddie Gonzalez sat down to make out his lineup, trying to choose between Brett Carroll and Cameron Maybin. Maybin doesn't have the best of numbers against Blanton, so he's decided to go with Carroll. BC hits a chopper wide of third. So Carroll gets the start, and he's in the 8th spot in the order. Josh Johnson will follow. And Blanton's out in front of Carroll, 0-2. Brett Carroll a 275 average, and as we pointed out on the road trip, it's one of those things you don't really notice until you see it in the stats. He's got a 6-game hitting streak because he plays sporadically, pinch hits, comes in defensively, but he has hit in 6 in a row.
You notice Blanton with runners at first and third. Cody Rossi got ahead to Brett Carroll. He's gotten ahead.
Well, and Baco, I'm sure, is telling him, look, we can make the perfect pitch here, or at least try to, because you got 0-2 and you got the pitcher on deck.
Now the home plate umpire, Dan Hyasonian, trying to speed things up. Say, come on, fellas, we got another one after this one.
Yes. I suspect there is a umpire to be named later in the umpire room right now, relaxing in the air conditioning, who's going to work home plate in the second game of the double dip. That hits him. So Carroll gets hit, and the Marlins will bring JJ to the plate with the bags loaded. If you're going to bring a pitcher to the plate for the Marlins in this situation, JJ's the guy you want.
Well, he didn't make that perfect pitch. If he was trying to go inside, and it caught the upper arm of Brett Carroll to load the bases.
So JJ, who has 3 homers and 9 RBIs, will get his swings against Blanton. Fastball's a strike. Blanton misses with a breaking ball. Cantu opened the inning with a single. Uggla walked, but he was forced on the Baker ground ball. Ross struck out, and Carroll hit by a pitch. JJ with the big swing and a high pop-up in the sun. Utley and Rollins. And it's Rollins who's going to take it and make the catch. Marlins leave them loaded and trail 1-0. Doubleheader, the final all-you-can-eat night is coming up. Last chance on Friday against the Mets. One low price, and you get hot dogs, peanuts, nachos, sodas, and all that from the comfort of your club seats and more. 305-626-SAVE, the number to call. Wait, there's more. There's the third inning, and Jimmy Rollins in the top of the order for the Phillies. Second time through against Josh Johnson. Top of the order, no problem for JJ in the first. Bottom half, different story. Phillies got a run and left a couple in that second inning. And Rollins strokes one up the middle. Ross into the gap to cut it off. And now here's an issue for the Marlins. And it's been an issue for the Marlins throughout the year, but especially against a team like the Phillies that have not only good speed, but one of the best base stealing instructors in the game, if not the best, in Davey Lopes.
106 stolen bases as a team, but over 82% in success. Thanks a lot to that man. And Jimmy Rollins has 29 steals. If he gets his 30th, it'll be 6 straight years of 30 or more stolen bases.
He's leaning. Not running. Victorino swings and misses. And it's 0-1.
And so far, we're early in this game, but the difference, the Phillies got a run on a productive out. Cairo grounded out with a man on third, less than 2 out. The Marlins could not do that.
Cody Ross striking out with a first and third and 1 out situation. Baker wants a fastball. Victorino, a soft liner to center, and it's going to nestle in for a hit. Ross picks it up. Rollins gets to third, and the Phillies are set up at the corners with the big bats coming up.
Well, if the ball's hit harder, it either carries to Cody Ross, or at least Rollins has to hold it second, but just blooped out. Perfect placement by Victorino. And with his speed, Jimmy Rollins easily made it over to third. Good base running, heads up. Knew where the outfielders were, knew where the ball was.
So now JJ, who really had to work hard to get through the second and limit the damage to just the 1 run, he's going to have to bear down here against Utley, Howard, and Worth.
And you got the feeling that Victorino isn't going to hang around too long at first. He may stay for a while to give Utley a shot with the hole open.
Utley, as usual, leading the National League in hit by pitch. He's one of those hitters that really crowds the plate. He's been hit 22 times.
Well, that helps that on-base percentage, which is over 400.
Now he's 2-0 against Utley.
And that man lurks in the on-deck circle, Ryan Howard, with his 41 home runs.
Gets a strike, and it's 2-1. Productive outs or base hits. Runners on third, less than 2 outs. Victorino back in. That one's fouled back. The Phillies playing well. They took 2 of 3 against a hot Atlanta team at Turner Field, beating Tommy Hanson 4-2. Charlie Manuel and the Phillies arriving here.
Phillies were able to enjoy the off day in South Florida.
This road trip for them will continue. They go from one extreme, South Florida, up to Milwaukee.
That's an interesting trip.
Yeah.
Atlanta, South Florida, and Milwaukee.
They got rain in Atlanta. They got heat. They're going to get heat here in South Florida. And I'm sure in Milwaukee the weather's and the season's already turning.
Be a tough trip to pack for. Certainly a sweater vest would be in order for that trip.
Two and two. Yes, got him. Ball in the dirt. Utley's running, but it doesn't matter.
Man on first base.
Baker,
less than 2 out.
Baker smothers it.
I tell you what, you can mess up a runner at first base by doing that. Two-seamer missed away, missed a little bit low with that one. Gets a good strike on the outer part of the plate. Up high with the fastball. And I believe puts him away with that nice slider down and in. But by doing that, if Victorino panics, it isn't sure of the outs, and he goes off the bag, you can get him. So that's why a hitter, can really mess up that runner at first base by doing that.
And you got to think that Victorino had to go through that checklist pretty quickly in his head. Like, what is he doing?
Or Davey Lopes was just down there yelling, "Stay here."
Now, if there were 2 outs, then yeah, okay. But there was nobody out. Now there's 1 out, and Howard's up. Johnson paints the corner with a fastball for a strike. Well, you've got guys that certainly can drive in runs. And you just saw Utley, and now he sees Howard. But you also have guys that you can strike out. Howard's punched out 174 times.
He's also, it's a little different now because you don't have the big shift on. He's a tough guy to double up.
He doesn't hit many ground balls.
Yeah. By the way, in Milwaukee, it's 69 and raining this weekend.
0-1. Worth has struck out 140 times, and for Utley that was his 103rd. There's Worth. He's on deck. Counts 1-1. Rollins and Victorino open the inning with base hits.
So with the home runs come the strikeouts. The 4 hitters who have the 30 or more home runs all have over 100 strikeouts.
210 home runs as a team. Did Baker get clipped on a backswing there?
I think he's getting a little help on an equipment adjustment from Dan Iasonia.
Remember, after getting conked in the head by Pujols, he went to the hockey type mask. He has gone away from that, gone back to the traditional batting helmet, spin it around, throw the mask on. That one fouled back. And a lot of catchers will put on day games that visor up on the top shelf just to keep the glare out of the mask.
Because you have that glare from the straightaway center, the tarp, and those seats, the batter's eye. Quite a glare coming off there. What this inning is doing, though, it's also building up that pitch count.
Yep. Dan Iasonia, the home plate umpire.
No eye black, no shades, no glare visor.
Called a good game so far. 1-2. There's a ground ball. Utley to his left. Got the out there. Hanley's turn. Safe at first. Wow. Bang, bang at first base. Ryan Howard last year would not have beat that throw, but he's lost weight. He's a little bit better, a little more athletic this year.
And a long turn for Dan Uggla. A good throw, strong throw. Same for Hanley Ramirez, but you're right. Last year, Ryan Howard does not beat that. Look at the acrobatics of Victorino getting out of the way of that ground ball. Hanley's strong throw, but Howard just beats it. So 2 times now, the Phillies do not strike out in that situation and get an out, but get the run.
And it's Howard who's left on base. He's at first. And 2 ground ball outs have produced the 2 runs for the Phillies. Worth walked his first time up. Worth, of course, from a very athletic family. His uncle, Dick Schofield. His father was Ducky Schofield, both big league shortstops.
You know, right now, this is the only game in baseball. Everything else at night in the National League, American League.
Later on tonight, the Giants are back in Arizona. Atlanta and the Mets tangle. The Rockies open up a series against the Padres. Of all the wild card teams, I think Atlanta has the easiest road in terms of schedule. Obviously, the Rockies have the wild card lead, but the Braves have 2 more at the Mets, 3 at Washington, 3 at home against the Marlins, and 4 at home against the Nationals. So that's 7 games against the Nationals, 2 against the Mets, and 3 against the Fish. Rockies have 3 against San Diego, 3 at home against the Cardinals, 3 at home against Milwaukee, and then finish with the Dodgers. He went around. Baker scoops it, tags him out. Josh Johnson has had to labor through 55 pitches, and it's 2-0.
The 3rd inning. The players in the clubhouse before the game are marking, and several here at the game last night. They are amazed how great this field looks, considering 16.5 hours before first pitch today, the Dolphins were playing here, as you know, last night, a nationally televised Monday game. The logo's still on the field, but there's some paint over it now. 16.5 hours. They go to work right away, moving stands, painting the lines, of course, in the VIP section. Some of the batting cage carpeting they use out there. Also, guys, I learned they use 75 gallons of paint to cover up the yard markers, all the white lines, and even the logos. And they put in 2,000 square feet of sod in the outfield. You've seen those strips in the outfield very close from left to center field near the wall. Those strips, as long as 48 feet long, out in the left, you see them right near the Marlins ballpark there. That's where the stands come out. It tends to dig up the lawn. So what they do is they cut out some of the grass. They put in these strips they pre-ordered and made it easier and also safer. Great job with these guys. And one key the crew told me, they had wonderful weather. Had it rained last night, it would have been a mess to try and turn this around. But no rain at all. They were able to get it done. They could have played at 110 today if they had to.
Chris Coughlin swings and misses, and Coughlin strikes out. Joe Blanton opens the third by getting the leadoff hitter for the Fish. Nick Johnson and Hanley Ramirez will follow. Blanton has survived so far. He's given up a couple of hits. He left the bases loaded in the second.
You know, even though it seemed like Josh Johnson labored last inning, pitch counts at 54, he threw 17 pitches last inning. Seemed like he threw more.
Nick Johnson takes up. 0 for his last 16. Which is kind of puzzling because he did swing the bat at times in Cincinnati. Well, he had some line drives at people.
Well, hopefully, when you're looking at a long 0 for, you like to see a guy you've had success against. And right now, Nick is 7 for 14 in his career against Blanton. There's that big curve. He'll use that 12-6 curve. Slider. I think he got Coughlin with a good changeup.
One, two. He went around. Couldn't hold up. Blanton. 3 strikeouts now, and here comes Hanley. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Florida Marlins. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Florida Marlins and Kevin Stocker.
You know who Kevin Stocker was traded for?
Bobby Abreu.
Yes. Turned out to be a pretty good deal for the Phillies.
No kidding. Worth over, and a nice sliding catch. Vincent Chase would have been proud of that one. Jason Worth finishes the Fish in the third. 2-0 Phils. Shade, keep the sunglasses on, and hang out for 2 here in South Florida.
Relaxing day, a lot of baseball.
Ibanez, Cairo, and Baco.
And of course, this doubleheader because of the Monday Night Football game.
Yes. This was
original schedule. The Marlins were scheduled to play the Phillies Monday,
assuming that the Dolphins were going to play a Sunday game until they got that Monday night game. And that issue may arise again, not here, but in Minneapolis. If the Tigers are caught by the Twins and they have a one-game playoff, the Twins are set to host it. Coughlin, that's a long run for a foul ball. They have done away with coin flips in baseball. It used to be everybody would do a coin flip to see who would host a one-game playoff, be it for a wild card or for a division title. And so now it's head-to-head record, and the Twins have already clinched head-to-head against the Tigers. So the one-game playoff would be Monday when the season ends. The problem is the Vikings are playing the Packers.
They can't oust Brett Favre in that game against the Packers.
Swing and a miss.
Will their new ballpark be ready yet?
See, that was my first thought. Maybe they could speed up the construction of the new ballpark. Hey, we've got a double dip of the Duck, who holds the Phillies record for home runs in the postseason. Well, Joe Blanton hit one, but he just hit one.
Well, you'd want to say, you'd want to throw a Mike Schmidt in there.
Did he play in enough postseason?
Well, yeah, you think of the World Series in '80, but also 70, 76, 77, 78 postseason.
Another long run. Coughlin diving, doesn't get it, picks it up, and already at second is Cairo.
And two blue base hits. The one by Victorino last inning, and Cairo just off the end of the bat. Long way to go, couldn't quite get the glove there, and at least kept the ball in front of him to avoid any more danger.
This is really a tough time for hitters now, because shadows have covered the plate. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. That's a foul tip. Hit the knob of the bat. And it's 0-1. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Would they move that one-game playoff to Tuesday? Would they move it to
Well, I don't know.
Detroit?
I would imagine, though, it's a problem the Twins hope they have.
Yes. Well, they had it last year, right? They had a one-game playoff with the White Sox in Chicago and lost to Chicago.
The thing that makes that tough, if it's, I don't think it could be moved somewhere else, because the Twins have such a phenomenal home record playing in their home ballpark. Yeah, Minnesota 45 and 33 at home.
Paco can't keep the ball off the knob of his bat.
He's had a couple of knob shots.
With apologies to Chuck Knobloch. It's 1-2. One and two. Of course, the easy thing about the Metrodome conversion is it's artificial turf. So you don't have to really worry too much about.
Move a few seats, take the mound out.
Yep. Replace the carpeting here. Sweep up there. Paint over the lines. Good breaking ball. There's the rolls of sod, ready to go. The weight of the stands that comes out and sits on it just gives a big divot, and obviously for the safety of the players, they got to make it as smooth and as level as possible.
By the way, 7 strikeouts for Josh Johnson.
Here's Blanton. I think they have an easier time in this stadium than they do in Oakland because of the sheer volume and weight of the stands that come out from center field in Oakland. It's a little different configuration than this ballpark. Oakland is one of the last of the true utility round stadiums. Not quite cookie cutter like the National League parks of Riverfront, Three Rivers, and Veterans Stadium. But the football stands in Oakland come out from center field and from behind the plate.
Josh Johnson trying to get Blanton here. JJ with his 15-4 record, 789 winning percentage. That's the best in franchise history for a pitcher with 10 wins or more. They're trying to get number 16 in this one.
At the knees. Only 2 cues out there for quick outs, which means Johnson's pitch count here in the 4th is at 70.
Well, he threw 100 in his last outing in St. Louis.
Outside corner. Rung him up. Now Blanton's not real happy. And wants to make sure he gets that corner. JJ racking up the strikeouts, but trailing on the scoreboard. Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Marooney. Hey, South Florida, when you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-Marooney. By Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste. By Corona, official sponsor of the Timeout. And by Honda South Florida. Visit your South Florida Honda dealers online at sfhondadealers.com. Back in South Florida for a week. 3 with the Phillies, 3 with the Mets. Doubleheader starts this homestand, and the Phillies have a 2-0 lead. Joe Blanton has looked tough on the mound. Cantu with Ugla and Baker right behind him.
I think it's a combination of a couple of things. Joe Blanton's made some good pitches, and right now the Marlins have some quiet bats.
That's not a good combination. If you're the Marlins, Blanton has been economical with his pitches. This is the 44th of the ball game. It wasn't quite the big 3 that Oakland dismantled the first time through with Zito, Mulder, and Hudson. But Blanton, Harden, and Herron formed a pretty good rotation in Oakland, and that was disassembled over the last year and a half. Cantu lines it foul. Dan Herron having quite a year with the Diamondbacks. Rich Harden has been in the Cubs rotation the last year and a half. Big breaking ball. Cantu rolls it to third. Cairo with some help from Ryan Howard. All right, bring on the Duck. You're going Mike Schmidt.
Yeah, I got to go to my go-to guy, offensive numbers, Phillies history. I'll go with Mike Schmidt.
I'll throw in a, how about a Chase Utley?
All right.
Who would have thought?
Lenny Dykstra. Well, Mike Schmidt had 4, but Nails had more.
Rollins.
Yeah, the Marlins are making it easy for Blanton with some early outs. 1 pitch, 1 out to Dan Uggla, so he's gotten a couple of quick outs here in the 4th.
Here's Baker now. Bake bounced into a fielder's choice. That second inning for the Marlins, a tough one. They got a single by Cantu and a walk by Uggla. That opened the inning. Baker's fielder's choice got Uggla at second, and then first and third with 1 out, Blanton struck out Cody Ross on a letter-high fastball, hit Brett Carroll, and then got Josh Johnson to pop out and end the threat. Blanton and Baker, I suspect, have worked together as a probably a spring training session or 2.
Yeah, I think I remember talking to, we both talked to Bake about that one time. And spring training, sometime he caught him. Maybe saw him in an inter-squad game. But up until this start, Blanton has not had a good month of September. Coming into this game, 1-1 record in 3 starts with an ERA close to 6 in September.
Yeah, it's amazing to look at the Phillies rotation and the Blanton, Cliff Lee, Hamels, Happ, Pedro. The guy that has the most wins as a Phillies starter is the Game 2 starter. And that's a guy that's been taken out of the rotation.
Still Jamie Moyer. Hey, I'll tell you the question Charlie Manuel didn't want to handle was when I asked him, I said, well, if postseason started today, what would be your rotation? He just started shaking his head because he's not sure.
Baker swings and misses. It goes to the screen, and it hits Baker. The ball rolls into right field. Did it hit him in the hand? I guess it did. Time is called. Baker's aboard. Here comes Cody. That was a bizarre play.
Well, good hustle on Bake's part, but yeah, I think the ball caught him in the hand. Let's see if we can tell. Look at his left hand. Yeah, caught him right on the wrist.
Oh, he got a face full of Ryan Howard's glove, too.
So he got Howard's glove in his face, and the ball hit him on the hand. So not a good venture on his way to first base. There's the, you know, it may have caught him somewhere else.
There's a good case right there where a runner, you know, that base path that the runner is supposed to stay in. There's a case where the runner can't stay on that base path because Ryan Howard is on that side, the foul side of the bag, and if Baker is running where he's supposed to run, he's going to run right over Howard.
I think the other thing to think about too, would the throw have beaten? Well, it'd have been close, but there was really nowhere for Bake to go and nowhere for Ryan Howard to go either.
Because if Howard stretches towards the ball, Bake runs him over.
He's going right into Bake. Yeah. There's a no-win situation for anybody. However, the Marlins get a base runner and get Cody Ross to the plate. So that's the good news.
Strikeout, wild pitch. Well, Ross's at bat in the second was a key for Blanton. He struck him out on a fastball. Breaking ball here, and a nice play by the ball boy. And it was the same pitch, and we had showed you in that at bat, the same pitch that Cody hit out against Blanton. That high fastball in Philadelphia.
And quickly, same thing Blanton did to Cody back in the second inning. He got ahead 0-2. Cody shaking his head, thinking he wanted more out of that last swing.
Swing and a miss at a slider. Ross has gone down twice. Blanton punches him out, and the Marlins leave their 4th runner of the day.
Florida Marlins Baseball está disponible en español vía SAP y es presentado por KFC.
2-0 Phillies on top. There have been 13 strikeouts in this ball game. 9 of those 13 strikeouts have come in the last 2 innings once the shadows have hit home plate. Look at this.
Well, you can see the reaction of Cody Ross. Remember, he was shaking his head the pitch before. Now he gets a slider. You could tell he didn't pick this up right away. You see the bright sun now into the shade, and he kind of stood there, even looked at the home plate umpire as if to say, you know what, I didn't see that one too well. And home plate umpire Dan Iasonia looked like he agreed.
We check in with our Spanish broadcasters, Cookie and Raul.
Rich, Tommy,
how are you?
Tough to see right now at home plate, isn't it, Cookie?
We were just talking about that. You can see the ball. When he releases the ball, you can see all the light in it. And then when he gets into the shadow, it gets a little darker. So you got to be ready. Very difficult for the hitters.
Tommy, did you ever have to deal with that sort of situation?
Yeah, actually, there were more games. Cookie could attest to this. More games played daytime this time than there are now, actually.
I had more times even during daytimes, Tommy.
Jimmy Rollins at the plate. He's 1 for 2 with a single.
Cookie got to get some bats going.
We have to get some offense a little bit. You know, they scored a couple of runs right away to give Blayton a chance to settle down, and he has. And Johnson, his pitches are starting to mount up a little bit, so I hope that we can come back and give him some runs.
That's 9 strikeouts now for JJ, and here is Victorino.
Hey, Raul, you've got double duty. You had a little busy night last night, too, didn't you?
I sure did. Was here last night till late, and unfortunately a tough loss for the home team. But, yeah, just right back at it today, and right after this game, we got another one, so it's all good.
Did you sleep here last night, or did you?
I should have. Not quite.
All right, guys, have a good show.
Thanks, you too, fellas.
Raul does the Spanish radio for the Miami Dolphins. Up the middle, Hanley a diving stop, but Victorino with his speed has got himself a base hit.
Yeah, we saw Hanley in Cincinnati make an incredible play. He didn't quite get the runner, popped up and threw to first. That time he knew that popping up and throwing to first is not going to get Shane Victorino. So just make the grab, no play at all.
Later on tonight, high definition. Tomorrow, a Hamels-Vandenhurst matchup.
I think it was Drew Stubbs hit that ball up the middle.
Were you surprised that Victorino did not run back in the third inning. I know he had a couple of lefties up in Utley and Howard, but it's something the Phillies have done a lot of against the Marlins with a lot of success.
I'm always surprised when I don't see the Phillies run, period. But I would imagine here, with one out, but you do have the thought with the left-hander at the plate. You give him a couple of shots at the hole, and if not, then take off. Boy, there's a good look at those shadows there.
So 14 strikeouts in the ball game. 10 have come in the last 2 innings by Blanton and Johnson combined. Victorino bluffs. 2-0.
Guys, you were talking earlier about Utley leading the league and hit by pitches. One reason is he just crams the plate, and talking to one Marlin pitcher, and he actually looks like he's a little bit off the plate more than normal. But one pitcher told me it's so tough to pitch to him because he doesn't chase that high inside pitch that a lot of guys will go after. And he can cover because he's so close to the outside of the plate. Very hard to make good pitches on him inside, like right there.
Pulls it to right. Carroll picks it up.
And there's one of the reasons that Victorino stayed at first. Left that hole open. And Utley, with that quick swing, got it through there. You try to come in. If you don't get it in far enough, then he's able to put a good swing on it, and he finds that hole sharply.
It's hard to get a called strike on the inside corner against Utley as well, because a lot of times he's bailing out and moving the hands away.
And he has a lot of patience.
Yep.
He doesn't go out of the strike zone too often.
Pitcher I talked to said if more guys did that, it would make it much tougher on pitchers. But most guys do not crowd the plate. Getting hit isn't too much fun.
Yeah, more guys. I give Utley credit. He at least doesn't go up there with all the armor on. Being hit by pitches 22 times. Most guys like to stay off the plate and dive.
Howard is singled, bounced into a fielder's choice. Got to be careful with Victorino at second. Fly ball center field. That's tough in the sun. Cody doesn't see it. Now he does.
I think he saw it all the way. He saw it all the way. He was trying to decoy Victorino.
And look at Victorino pointing back at him.
Victorino said, hey, I've been out there. The sun's not that bad. That's a great shot. I don't have it. I can't. Now he has it easily.
You see the little smile on his face, too.
You know, it's interesting. The Phillies have a 2-0 lead. Josh Johnson has 9 strikeouts.
Oh, yeah.
Philadelphia is 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position.
But, as you pointed out, they've done the little things.
They have a couple of productive outs.
Produced 2 runs on ground ball outs. Jason Worth has walked and struck out.
You were talking earlier, Rich, how the Phillies have played so well on the road. They've also played extremely well within their division.
Oh, they've dominated.
42-24 against the National League East.
They have swept both 3-game series here in South Florida, but the Marlins have won 5 of 6 up in Philadelphia. Ooh. 1-2.
Well, the only team
that
they don't have a 500 record or better against in the East, Atlanta. They went 8-10 against Atlanta.
Worth doesn't go after the 1-2 slider, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mark Wiley certainly with a juggling act today. Josh Johnson starting the first game, Anibal Sanchez the second, and you know that the bullpen will be taxed. You're going to have to throw guys in game 1 that you might not be able to double up with in game 2.
So you hope if Josh Johnson can get Worth here, he'll still be under 90 pitches. You hope to get maybe another inning out of JJ.
He's due up second in the bottom of the 5th. Runners are running, and a double steal. Count full now on Worth. Victorino's 24th, Utley's 23rd.
No play at all for Bank. He holds on. Now Josh really has to make a good pitch.
Got Ibanez on deck. 3-2. Line drive, center field. It's a base hit. Both runs will score. Jason Worth. What a year. 92 RBIs. And the stolen base is big.
Oh, they're huge. There was a time that in that situation you could get Jason Worth to chase a pitch. But this is why he's become a better player and a better hitter. He takes what he's given. Slider is down. That's a good pitch. Ankle high. He just makes contact. Contact being the key point. And drops it into center field and gets RBIs 91 and 92.
Ibanez now. Dan Iasonia's strike zone has been a big one, but a very consistent one for both pitchers. Oh, 2.
Now you think a little differently if you're Freddie, given the fact that it's 4-0, about squeezing another inning out of JJ.
Yes, because the urgency of getting on the board, you're going to have to get somebody up and ready if you need to hit for him in the 5th, the bottom of this inning. I asked Freddie before the ball game if this were middle of the year, 3-game series with a doubleheader to start, do you play it differently? I said, well, you have to play it differently. You have to go after every game with all you got, and then just worry about the next one when you're done. Josh Johnson has punched out 10 Phillies, but Philadelphia, with help from Jason Worth, has a 4-0 lead. fastest 3G network. Bottom 5, Joe Blanton to Brett Carroll. That's strike 1, and it's 0-1. On deck is not Josh Johnson. It's Gabby Sanchez.
And as expected, once the Phillies got those other 2 runs on what was a great pitch, I thought, by Josh Johnson. Freddie just has to do everything possible to try to get some offense going.
As we told you at the outset of the telecast, you have to play this game like it's Game 7 of the World Series.
And pretty much that's what you would do.
Absolutely.
Game 7 of the World Series.
You gamble that your bullpen will be able to keep it where it is and try to infuse some offense here in the 5th.
That's a crazy game. Yeah, the shadows, the sun. 5 innings, 10 strikeouts for Josh Johnson. For Badenhawk getting ready.
Well, Joe Blanton.
But the Phillies do have 7 hits.
Yeah, Joe Blanton has struck out 4 his last 2 innings. Carroll off the end of the bat, and Howard gets to the bag, and here comes Sanchez for a pinch hitting appearance.
The Marlins just haven't had many good swings at all. And yeah, you could say the shadows, the sun, but the Phillies have 4 runs and 7 hits.
Same shadows and same sun.
Yep.
Sanchez up. Well, even though he went just 5 innings, Josh Johnson punches out 10. But he gives up the 4 earned runs. A strike, 7 hits for the Phillies in those 5 innings for JJ. Going 1 to Sanchez. Sonia wants a new baseball.
So now you've been sitting on the bench, and you have to go up and pinch hit in shadows and deal with all that.
Goes after a high fastball and hits it in the air to right field. And Worth is there to make the catch. Last Fish Friday of the year is coming up this Friday. Mets at 7:10. Marlin fans can play Billy's Bingo for the chance to win an authentic Marlins jersey autographed by Cameron Maben. 1-877 Marlins, the number to call.
We need to get dark glasses like that. I think the bigger, the better. See, when they're big, they're in.
Bigger, the better on the glasses, huh?
Mm-hmm. You and I are too traditional.
We're not trendy enough.
Yeah.
Coughlin rolls out. Blanton is cruising right now. And the Marlins are done in the 5th and down in this game 4-0. On top of the fish in the 6th, or Toyota Trend. Phillies lead this season series 7-5, and we told you they've won all 6 in South Florida, and they've done it decisively. 41-14, they have outscored the Marlins. Marlins have to go to the hopper in the 6th.
Well, it seems like every time they have gone to the hopper, he has performed well. Nice record, 7-4. He's pitched well since he's come back off the disabled list. And now his task is to give Freddie a couple of innings here at least and keep it a 4-0 game.
In this age of specialization by pitchers, whether starters or relievers, every team needs a hopper because he can fill a couple of roles for you. He can come out and give you 3 or 4 innings in the middle of a game, or he can come in and give you just 1.
He's one of those pitchers that scouts who scout the league. They'll make a special little note that if ever you can acquire the hopper, we'll take it. And especially, as you said, in this day and age with the way bullpens are used. And good numbers against Philadelphia.
Badenhop, of course, out of Bowling Green, came up in the Tigers organization. And it was, I believe, his either a single A or double A pitching coach, a guy named A.J. Sager, who used to pitch in the big leagues, who Hopper said gave him the best piece of advice and got through to him the biggest point that changed Hopper's career, and that was trust your stuff. Just like that. He said Hopper, early in his career, he thought, you know, he'd have to throw the ball by guys, he'd have to fool guys, and A.J. Sager told him, no, you got good enough stuff, just throw it and trust it.
Hit your spots, you move the two-seamer back over the outside corner, trust it. There it is, right there. Boy, so many pitchers need to learn that same lesson.
Well, I think we're going to see one for the Marlins in Game 2 of this doubleheader.
A guy who probably has better stuff than Burke Badenhop, Anibal Sanchez.
Actually, we're going to see 2 guys like that in the second game of the doubleheader.
I was thinking earlier, can you imagine Jamie Moyer pitching Game 1 with the Shadows? He'd have had like 5 strikeouts.
Well, if Charlie could, he probably would have pitched Moyer in Game 1 and Game 2. But Blanton has been spectacular. Moyer is what, 13-3 in his career against the Fish?
Yeah, that, you know, the bad news though, the Marlins have never beaten him here. He is 8-0 with a 1.37 ERA in this ballpark.
And Sanchez has not had the best of success against the Phillies.
No. By the way, every hitter in the Philly lineup, with the exception of Ryan Howard, has struck out.
Hopper, a little backdoor breaking ball.
Yep. Backdoor breaking ball. He got to Cairo with a two-seamer that moved back over the plate.
Oh, 0-1. Bland has bounced out and struck out. Phillies seemingly headed to the postseason for the 3rd consecutive year.
Well, what a nice job Charlie Manuel has done. 5th year as the skipper of the Phillies.
They don't need the finishing kick this year that they did the last 2 seasons. Won 13 of their last 16 games last year, and in 07 won 13 of their last 17 games to catch the Mets on that final day in 07.
Of course, got some help from the Marlins. as well.
in 07. And last year they clinched, I believe, with about 4 or 5 days left in the season. Three and two, and of course with Cliff Lee now, Hamels has turned it on in his last few starts. Hopper comes in, strikes out the side. Everybody could use a hopper. 1, 2, 3 go the Phillies. The best value at the ballpark on Friday night is the CBS 4 for 54 pack. You get 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, 2 Marlin game programs that start at just $54. Grab one today. Visit the stadium box office, the Marlins in Miami store, or marlins.com. Yeah, it's one thing the new stadium is going to have that will be really nice. Will be a team store. A Marlins team store at the ballpark. Not the team store of the Dolphins that has a few Marlins shirts in it.
Yeah. Oh, I know where you're going with that one.
Here's Nick Johnson.
You were talking about managers. We were talking about Charlie Manuel. How about Cecil Cooper? Kind of an odd time for the Houston Astros to pull the plug on Cecil Cooper.
Yeah, I listened to the announcement by Ed Wade, the general manager, and he said the reason they made the move 2 weeks before the end of the season was so that it would give them a chance to review the rest of the on-field personnel and get a head start in the hiring process moving forward.
Yeah, it just seemed like an odd time. Third base coach Dave Clark is going to take over, but
yeah, why do it
crazy.
now?
Why do it now? Yeah.
There's a strike.
I think for the first time since Nick Johnson has been a member of the Marlins, and for Nick, this is his 30th game. He's looked uncomfortable at the plate. Seen him go out of the strike zone a few times, take some strikes in situations where we usually see him swinging.
Nick drives that ball to left center. Victorino covers a lot of ground out there.
And getting some pitches and missing them.
Coors Light freeze cam time. All right, remember Cody Ross out in center field? Little decoy with the runner at second. I can't find it. What happened? Where's the ball? Oh, he had it all the way. A little smile there. Now, earlier this year.
Oh, Cody. He doesn't have to go to acting school in the offseason. That one was even better.
Yeah. Much more of a shock and awe look. Hanley swings and misses. Hanley's in a funk too right now.
Yeah, there are too many Marlins in funks right now. That's not a good sign. In a perfect world, every time a hitter goes into a slump, you'd like the other 6 or 7 hitters to be hot, because you know you're going to go into a slump.
There's no such thing as a perfect. I lost him. Did he get it? I don't think so.
A good effort, though, by Paul Bacco, veteran catcher. Has spent time in the Marlins uniform, so he a little bit of familiarity in the dugout over there, but a good effort.
That's treacherous. You got the fake warning track, the roof, no rail. That's no fun. Strikes out.
All of a sudden, you had Nick Johnson looking bad, Hanley not having good swings. Cody Ross has struck out twice. He's not swung the bat well.
Game 2, 30 minutes after this one. We have some high-quality entertainment for you between games. Jim Conine will juggle. Craig will tell some jokes.
In preparation for game 2.
Cantu fouls it at the plate. And it's 0-2. Joe Blanton is throwing a gem.
Well, he's not walked a batter, giving up just the 2 singles, one by Jorge Cantu, one by Chris Coghlan.
Breaking ball is outside.
He did walk Dan Uggla.
Still a gem.
Making a note of that.
Still a gem.
Even if he hits Brett Carroll, is it still a gem? Because he did.
It's not as many carats as some gems. Still valuable to a guy like Charlie Manuel, because as we've seen, the Marlins have already had to go to the bullpen. The Phillies in the first game of this doubleheader have still got Joe Blanton out there. Once you got a 4-0 lead, you can let Joe run some until he's good and ready to come out.
Yeah, that's a key. It really helps a manager if in the first game of that doubleheader, his starter can go deep into the game. But right now he's at 84 pitches.
Because strategically, if you're the Marlins, you would rather have the Hopper come in or be ready for a Sanchez start, which might be a shorter start than a Josh Johnson start. But as we pointed out,
we could see an Andrew Miller with all the lefty bats that the Phillies have.
As we pointed out, Freddie has to throw caution to the wind here.
And you know, if Burke Badenhop gives Freddie 2 innings here, he'll tell him he'll be ready for game 2.
Cantu fouls it off. 2-2 count, 2 outs. If you've just happened by, if you're getting home from work, flipping on the game. Marlins and Phillies, it's a doubleheader, and the Phillies are riding a great performance by Joe Blanton. Not that Josh Johnson was any slouch, but the Phillies constructed a couple of runs, scoring their first 2 on ground ball outs, and then Jason Worth hit a perfect pitch in a right center field for a 2-run single.
Yeah, so it wasn't like they ate up Josh Johnson with line drives all over the place.
Johnson pitched 5 innings and struck out 10. That's why the Phillies are the Phillies. That's why they've scored more runs than anybody in the National League.
You got that right. And that's why they come into this game with an 8-game lead.
Baco's going to try this dugout.
I don't think that will work either.
I hope he had a better landing.
He didn't, but he's okay. By the way, that was pitch number 11 to Jorge Cantu, so he's trying to wear down Blanton.
This is not fun. I mean,
boy, 2 good efforts by Bacco
You know, I know that the Marlins will be playing here for 2 more years. I wish that they would fix that. Throw up a fence. I'm not talking about the Marlins themselves. I'm talking about the stadium. Here's a 3-2. Fastball's up and in. Cantu's aboard. Our Geico quote of the night comes from Dan Ugla. I don't know about anyone else, but I swung at a lot of bad pitches and let some good ones go. That was on Sunday's loss to Kip Wells, of all people.
You know what? That quote could kind of apply today to a lot of the Marlins hitters. You have to wonder, remember when Big struck out, ran up the line, got hit on the hand? He is not in the on-deck circle. Ronnie Paulino is.
One ball, one strike. One and two.
There's Big there. You got to figure a little swelling, something's happened to that hand, or he'd be in the on-deck circle. Dave Blanton's mixed it up well. Good sliders. Occasionally the 12-6 curve. Handful of change-ups. And he's changed speeds on his fastball, too.
Blanton wanted it. And it's 3-2. Cantu will be moving from first.
Well, he has so much command and confidence in his breaking ball. He threw a 3-2 with a 4-0 lead.
And he gets Ugla on another 3-2 breaking ball. Joe Blanton shutting out the fish. Ever win a National League Most Valuable Player award? Everybody says yes, although 21% said yes, only if Pujols goes to the American League. I don't think Albert Pujols is leaving St. Louis anytime soon.
I don't think so either.
All right, now we give you your chance. Who's going to win the National League Rookie of the Year award? Coughlin, Hansen, Happ, McCutchen, or McGee? Rollins pulls it. Johnson, nice flip. Baden-Hop has come in and retired all 4 that he's faced.
You love to see when a pitcher gets over that fast, how easy it makes it for the first baseman. So with Nick Johnson going away from the bag to get that ball, all of a sudden he looked up and Hopper was right there.
You wish that more pitchers, starters and relievers, fielded their position as well as Baden-Hop does. He gets off the mound quickly. I know his delivery kind of lends itself to being ready to go.
Yeah, he's not a max effort guy, so he doesn't fall way off the mound. He actually follows through in a good fielding position. So that allows him to get over to first base quickly.
Ronnie Paulino does come in behind the plate. So John Baker is left with an apparent injury, and we suspect it's the hand. Paulino scheduled to catch game 2 of the doubleheader anyways, with the lefty Moyer starting. Here's the 2-2.
Plus, Ronnie has pretty good numbers. One of the few Marlin batters that has good numbers against Moyer. 6 for 15.
Ooh, that didn't miss by much. That's one of those pitches, Tommy, and Victorino is a lot like Utley in that he crowds the plate, and if you throw a comeback fastball, the hitter bails out, and sometimes an umpire can bail out on that pitch too.
Yeah, he's going to bail and give you the feeling that, well, that's inside, I'm getting out of here, and the ball moves right at the last minute and catches the inside corner.
So Victorino walks. Utley with 1 out.
We've also talked about it. Baden-Hop a little tougher to steal off of compared to some of the other Marlin pitchers.
Braves and Marlins both with the same record. Braves are still in New York. 80-70 are the Braves. They have Jair Jurgens on the mound with his 2.75 ERA against Nelson Figueroa, who is 2-6.
What a nice year Jurgens has had. The low ERA, but he's just 12-10. He's gotten a whole lot of support.
Matt Cain, Doug Davis. Giants in Arizona tonight. Mujica de la Rosa in Colorado. Jorge de la Rosa has had an outstanding year for the Rockies. 15-9, 4.17 ERA. Didn't he beat the Giants his last time out?
Well, you got a couple of guys, Ubaldo Jimenez and De La Rosa, both having solid years.
In a year where they lost Jeff Francis, one of their top starters. Utley swings and misses. So Baden-Hop has 4 strikeouts.
Number 6, first baseman Brian.
Boy, you see the ball just dart and dive away from Utley, who committed and then couldn't cover that pitch that darted out of the zone.
I think most people have anointed Albert Pujols the most valuable player. I think the Marlins were impressed, as always, in their brief tour through St. Louis.
Yeah, you're going to find he's going to win it, and then you're going to see names. Ryan Howard, certainly going to be in the top 3 or 4. Prince Fielder, Hanley Ramirez. Hanley should be. Not the MVP, but
in the discussion.
In the discussion, yes.
I think he will be. I think Howard probably will give Pujols the best run, or at least probably come in second in the voting.
Hey, right now, Prince Fielder tied with Pujols in the RBI department. Fielder hit his 40th the other day. I think the interesting part of that discussion, you're talking about 3 first basemen, Pujols, Fielder, and Howard, and where you have Hanley in a much more demanding position at shortstop, a position that he's played like an MVP.
Swing and a miss. We're talking about that Rockies rotation. Can't leave out the season that Jason Marquis has had.
Yeah.
15 and 11. Aaron Cook is on his way back.
There's a guy that we've forgotten about, but he's had some injuries.
1-2 to Howard. The hopper. 5 strikeouts. 2 scoreless innings.
And that's why we love the hopper. Yeah, it's not like Philadelphia's torn the cover off the ball. Cairo with an infield out, but a runner came in to score from third. End of the third inning, almost a double play. Ryan Howard with the ground ball, not turned on that play. Jimmy Rollins came in to score. A double steal, then set up the next 2 runs. Runners at second and third. A great pitch by Josh Johnson. Look at Jason Worth, just pokes it into center field, drives home 2. And that's been all the scoring in this game. The Phillies have a 4-0 lead. Philadelphia struck out 14 times in this game.
Ronnie Polino just made the first out in a surprising fashion. Trying to bunt, he pops out to Paul Bacco. So Joe Bland is not. Bland is going so good that he throws 1 pitch and gets an out here deep in the 7th inning as he shuts out the Marlins on 2 hits.
Let me add one more. Hopper with 5 strikeouts, 15 strikeouts between Josh Johnson and Burke Badenham.
So let me get this straight. The Phillies in 7 innings, 15 of their 21 outs are strikeouts.
Yet they have a 4-0 lead. And then you start thinking about their base hits. You had the bloop by Victorino, the bloop by Worth. That was a big bloop, though. Tyro's double down the left field line. Dropped in front of Chris Coggin.
Well, the amazing thing is, for the Marlins, Escalona and Walker in the bullpen. The Marlins did not score a lot of runs in Cincinnati. Just 10 runs in 4 games. And they're getting shut out here. Yet in September, the Marlins lead the National League in runs scored.
All of a sudden, that machine is kind of shut down, though. 3 strikeouts for Cody Ross in this one.
Here's BC's hit by a pitch and has bounced out. Still an hour away from any other game starting. The Dodgers are up in Washington. The Tigers are in Cleveland as the Twins continue to put pressure on them, but the Indians have lost 8 in a row. What an awful year for Cleveland.
Cleveland in last place in that American League Central.
Minnesota, by the way, is in Chicago again tonight to face the White Sox, where they won last night. Pinto up. And a strike to Carroll.
Got to think this might be the last inning for Blanton. He's at 107 pitches. Change up, had some movement in on Brett Carroll. Well, he's really mixed it up well. And the Marlins, as you pointed out, they're going to see a guy who mixes it up pretty well in game 2 in Jamie Moyer.
Full count. Blanton has gone to his breaking ball an awful lot on 3 and 2. And he's been able to get a bunch of strikeouts.
That time changeup. So he has command and confidence in his other pitches. So we've seen curveball with 3 balls. We've seen slider. He struck out Dan Uggla with a slider. And that was a changeup. And then in with a fastball.
Striking out Brett Carroll. 1, 2, 3, go the fish. Blanton has not given up a hit since the 2nd inning.
with a stay in the game hold of the day, brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. All-time Philly hold leaders, Ryan Madsen, Real Cormier. There's a Larry Anderson sighting. Larry Anderson was having dessert at 3:30. Here is Jason Worth, now a broadcaster with the Phillies.
Affectionately known as just L.A. Larry Anderson.
And he had the peach cobbler with ice cream on it.
So he was he had the pregame meal going.
Yeah. Pregame meal, had dessert.
Yeah, there he is.
I thought I said, Larry, it's a doubleheader. He goes, well, that means I'll have time for a second round. Cantu has to go get the hop, does, and throws out Jason Worth.
How about checking in on Burke Badenhop and seeing what he's done since the 6th inning? The hopper has come in, thrown nothing but strikes. Little two-seamer, moved back on the outside corner, backdoor breaking ball. Got Blanton there. 5 strikeouts for Burke Badenhop in his outing so far. What a nice job. And gets the first out here in the 8th inning.
Ibanez takes a strike. Raul has struck out twice and bounced out.
To show you how many runs, we've talked about the Phillies leading the league in runs. They've scored. Raul Ibanez has scored 85 runs. That's pretty good. That's 6th on his team.
No swing. Mike Winters.
That's close. Hopper has kind of that, he'll throw that frisbee slider up there. Yeah, Howard, Victorino, and Worth and Rollins have all scored in the 90s.
Drive to right, that ball's hit deep. Carroll, it's gone. Now he hung one, and Ibanez hits his 32nd homer.
Probably the hardest hit ball in this game by Philadelphia. So Ibanez adds to the home run total. He adds to his run scored total. Let's see where this mistake is. Not a bad pitch, but kind of stayed middle of the plate. A little bit too much and out of the reach of Brett Carroll. Boy, if Ibanez all of a sudden catches fire and hits the way he did the first couple of months of the season, then the Phillies will really be on a nice roll as they get into postseason.
Cairo was the first to face Badenhop. Josh Johnson went the first 5 in this game. 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, and 10 strikeouts. Badenhop's slider is fouled back, and it's 1-2. News around baseball. Milton Bradley will get to watch the rest of the season on the Major League package.
I got a question for you. Have they determined if that suspension is paid or unpaid?
Haven't determined yet, and the Players Association is waiting on that. And if it's unpaid, they are going to file a grievance. Lined into right field. BC up with it. Cairo has a single to right because the Cubs have 2 more years of big money on that contract.
They get about $20 million, a little over, I think, in the next 2 years.
So it's not like they could just suspend him and say, we're not going to pay you. Because what he did wasn't necessarily overt on the field or in the clubhouse. I think it was for, the Cubs said it was for comments. The most damning of quotes was, now I see why they haven't won in 100 years around here. Bradley saying that to a local newspaper.
Well, his offense didn't really help their cause this year.
Understood, but I think if he had had all the hijinks and strangeness and eruptions throughout the year, then I don't think they suspend him just for those comments. Coughlin's throw comes into third, and so does Cairo. Baco ends up at second.
Well, a couple of veterans running the base as well. Two guys who aren't that fast. But Cairo, seeing that ball drop, got a good jump. Another ball not hit all that hard. And then Baco, a veteran catcher, once he sees the throw go to third base, then he takes off. So two veterans running the base as well. Do you think Milton Bradley will ever strap on a Cubs uniform again?
No. I seriously doubt that. So I think he gets suspended for his entire body of work for the whole season. And that quote, just the tipping point. But the Cubs are in a quandary because everybody knows that they certainly don't want him around next year. And they're going to have to trade him. So there's got to be a team out there that, you know, might take a chance.
Well, he's been with 8 teams in the last 10 years. So
maybe going back.
Call me crazy, but who's going to take that chance?
Maybe a team where he's had success.
If the Cubs pay the rest of the $20 million and that team maybe gives him the minimum.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. The Cubs are going to have to eat most of that contract if they're going to deal him. Speaking of eating, here is Matt Stairs, one of our favorite players. And the Marlins are going to walk him. Stairs, one of the fine pinch hitters. And there is Jimmy Rollins. Maybe he'll go back to a team where he's had success. Maybe Texas was a nice place for him.
Boy, Stairs this year, and we've seen pinch hitting at its finest between Wes Helms and Ross Globe. Stairs has 13 pinch hits, 5 pinch hit home runs, and 15 pinch hit RBIs. One of those a grand slam. But it doesn't get easier with Jimmy Rollins up next.
Still only one out. You got a couple arms that are ready in the pen, and you wonder if Freddie will let Rollins hit twice against Bader.
You have he of the pinch hitting status, and then he's pinch run for by he of the triple play status. Eric Brunt pinch running for Stairs.
So Rollins is going to face Hopper. Bags loaded. One and 0. Rollins bounced to first against Badenhop in the 7th. Bases filled with Phillies.
I think this is also a move. Freddie's saying, you know, with 2 innings, maybe I could use Badenhop in game 2, but now that he started this inning, probably not. So we'd like to see him finish it. Not too often has the Hopper thrown 51 pitches.
Fly ball, shallow center. Coughlin in, makes the catch. Runner tags, coming home. Coughlin's throw, not in time. Cairo scores.
I think that's just good base running on Cairo's part. You saw him go first to third on Baco's hit. I think, and I don't know if he could have gotten to it, I think if Cody Ross makes that catch, he probably doesn't come to the plate. But once he saw Coughlin, who's moving a little bit away from the plate, make the catch, then he has to turn and throw to the plate. I think once he saw that, he decided to come home. So good decision.
Freddie going to make the move here, and he's going to make a double switch and bring Cameron Maben in, take Brett Carroll out. 6-0 Phillies. Rooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Rooney!
Top. Cameron Maben comes into the ball game. Brett Carroll's out. Cody Ross slides over to right. And Andrew Miller enters with a new haircut. And runners at first and second.
We saw Andrew on that last game in Cincinnati come in, have a nice 1-2-3 inning through nothing but strikes.
So Maben's going to be in the 9 spot. He will lead off the 8th. Paulino has a couple balls get through him. The first one didn't cost him. This one does.
Now those might be a wild pitch, and it is, but it certainly looked like a ball Ronnie Paulino should at least keep in front of him.
They give him a wild pitch?
Yeah. Boy, you hear that term, you were mentioning it the other night. I think you were talking about what Chris Welsh of the Reds telecast said about Rick Vandenberg.
Paulino to the plate, safe.
About repeating the delivery, that Rick Vandenberg was doing it very well. That's something that Andrew Miller has to do. He's tall and lanky. Got to repeat that delivery, and right now he's all over the place.
Yeah. And Paulino still, to your point, has got to get a piece of that ball. I know Miller throws hard and he is all over the place, but 3 balls have gotten through Paulino that should not have.
I agree. Boy, not even close.
Andrew Miller having a Rick Ankiel-like inning. 1-0.
And he better iron it out because he doesn't hit as well as Rick Ankiel.
Good point. Dudley. Howard's on deck.
They get to a point where sometimes in a game like this, let a young pitcher out there. Let him figure out how to get out of the inning instead of looking over your shoulder into the bullpen. And that's one of the biggest problems with young pitchers. They don't learn how to pitch. They don't learn how to get out of jams. They don't learn how to regroup when they don't have it. So sometimes that's the best way to learn it.
Here's the battle between Miller and Paulino. See that?
No, that ball should have been caught. That wasn't even close to being in the dirt. That one should have too.
That ball should have been caught.
The third one was a little tougher, but still. The bottom line, none of them were strikes. And Andrew Miller's having a heck of a time throwing the ball over the plate.
So not an easy sequence for Paulino. And here's Howard. Miller throws a strike.
That's the other thing about, you get talking about pitch counts and everything. You get to a certain point, and then you get in that fifth or sixth inning, a pitcher doesn't learn how to work out of that jam.
Liner to right on a hop. Ross up with it. His throw to the plate is wide. 2-run score. Victorino right behind Brumlett. The Phillies have cracked this wide open.
So Ryan Howard with a couple of RBIs, has 3 in the game. And knew he was going to get a fastball because Andrew Miller's thrown nothing but.
Bert Badenhop is going to get tagged, I believe, with 4 of these runs.
Unfortunate. I think Mark Wiley may have said just what we were talking about. This is all you right now. Get out of this. And he's going to have to do it, try to throw strikes and make good pitches to Jason Worth.
It was a week ago that I think you were saying you'd love to hear a manager at some point tell a pitcher, tonight I need 6 innings. I don't care how many pitches you throw, how few, or how many.
We did have that conversation.
I heard another guy, another analyst, and I'm not sure who it was, talking in a similar sense of a manager telling a pitcher, you got 110 pitches tonight, and that's it. 110 pitches. You could throw 110 pitches in 3 innings and get the loss, or you can get me into the 6th, 7th inning
and maybe get a win out of it.
Yeah, you figure it out. Go get him. Really isn't any place to hide against this Phillies lineup. You give up the 2-run single to Howard, you walk Worth, now you get Ibanez. Homered earlier this inning.
I was going to say homer back in the 8th inning. That's this inning. Hit it pretty good. Not a bad pitch. Probably too much to the plate. Had a little movement to it, but Ibanez, a good swing, good low ball hitter.
It was a lot brighter then, too. The sun is...
A lot of things were a lot brighter.
Yeah.
The whole feeling of this game, Rich, was a lot brighter back then.
Well, we really need to...
We really need emails. Well, hey, it's Email Tuesday, second game.
Second game. And they're lining up.
It's like they're lining up like at LaGuardia right now.
But we're gonna need to figure out something between games just to liven things up, to lighten the mood up around here. Andrew Miller strikes out Ibanez, but a nightmare inning for the Fish. 5 Philadelphia runs.
Hey, thanks, Rich. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll have another giveaway here tonight during Game 2 and also tomorrow. Here's how you follow us. First of all, Facebook.com/Fox Sports Florida Sun Sports. That is our Facebook address. So go on there. Then in Game 2, we'll give you a clue during the telecast. Trivia question about a current or former Marlin player. First fan to post the comment on the Name That Marlin note on our wall on Facebook wins a signed baseball from a Marlins player. Just be the first fan to post the winning correct answer at Facebook.com/Fox Sports Florida Sun Sports. We'll have that for you in Game 2 and tomorrow, too. And by the way, I'll be juggling Niner with the jokes in the postgame.
That's good. We've heard Craig's jokes.
His brother's jokes are much better than
Much
Craig's
better.
jokes.
Much better. Anytime you can see Richie Minervini.
That's very good.
Go and see him.
Phillies making wholesale changes and resale prices. Then Francisco, you saw it left.
And there is Sergio Escalona, appearing for the 9th time this year.
May have been pinch hitting. Pops it up. Howard makes the catch. That was quick. Our Jaguar performer of the game, Joe Blanton. How about Joe Blanton? 9 punch outs. Check out the new R Performance vehicles at your local Jaguar dealer or on JaguarUSA.com. 7 shutout innings.
Joe Blanton was outstanding. I mean, he was impressive with the way he mixed things up. Hitters were off balance. Talk about a guy who's been busy. Escalona has been recalled 6 different times this year.
We get this question every now and then on an Email Tuesday about players and how they get paid. So for a guy like Escalona, as Coughlin busts one into center field. Broke his bat, gets a hit. 2 hits for Coughlin in the game.
Hey, another 2-hit game, another multi-hit game. Hey, he already leads Major League rookies in that category.
For a guy like Escalona, Tommy, how does his contract work? How might he get paid?
Well, he's probably on a split contract. When he comes to the major leagues, he's prorated the major league minimum during that time that he's in the big leagues. And then a lot of it depends on the contract. When he goes back to the minor leagues, he's not going to get that major league minimum, but he already has, I'm sure, a set salary for his minor league work. So it's kind of prorated on a daily, pretty much a daily basis.
We're going to sneak an email in here from the bulging email bag, which we've got for Game 2. What about a player's living arrangements? Do the Marlins pay for the accommodations of the guy once he gets called up?
For a time, and I don't know the exact, maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe a week tops. It's taken care of for a time, but then after that, the player's on his own to find a place or move in with another younger player, let's say. That was the first Marlin hit, by the way, since the 2nd inning.
There was a brief ceremony. Nick Johnson's 0 for 3.
And guys, sometimes players have leases. Like Brett Carroll told me he had an apartment. I think he told me through August, but then he went down to the minors. And all of a sudden he got called back up again. He still had the apartment, and he'd already paid for it. So it can get confusing for the guys who are up and down in terms of where they're going to stay. Some guys even stay at a hotel because it's much easier if they're going to go up and down.
Which is tough because then you're in a hotel your whole life, the whole season.
But you don't have to make your bed. So there are good parts.
And you get that little chocolate mint.
That's big for you, Craig.
Very
the
big.
bed making part.
That's it.
Here's the 3-2. And it's fouled back.
But I think a lot of times fans don't realize it is very confusing. It is very unsettling at times, especially, let's say, for a player who has a young family.
Right.
Married with a couple of young children. It's not easy. I remember getting traded from Toronto to Montreal, middle of the season. My wife and I had, our oldest son was about 6 months old. Well, there we were, stuck in a townhouse in Toronto, outside Toronto, that we had to try to get out of the lease on. But in the meantime, that was my wife doing that because I had to get to Montreal and join the ball club.
And it's not like your wife could trade autographed Blue Jay balls or bats.
No, that just wouldn't work. Blue Jays weren't that good then.
Leaf tickets, maybe. Nick Johnson has walked. Here's Hanley. Just a semblance of some offense for the Marlins in this ball game would be nice to maybe get them rolling towards Game 2. Rich Doobie makes his first appearance of the night.
Well, and the luxury that Charlie Manuel has here, he can use some of his second line guys. He doesn't have to bring out the A-team out of the bullpen with a 9-0 lead.
One of the problems for Charlie this year is the A-team hasn't performed like the A-team.
Again, the talk about the Phillies and certainly all around Philadelphia is their closer, Brad Lidge. What are they going to do in postseason? Lidge has blown 10 saves. Madsen's blown 6.
Just think where the Phillies would be if they had last year's Lidge.
Oh, who was perfect all year.
Well, it's dark here. They have not turned the lights on in the ballpark yet. We have the ability to shade our cameras and help the light, but from up here in the press box looking down at the field, it's dark.
As you watch Hanley swing, and with Hanley struggling somewhat, when he does, his swing gets a little long, a little bigger than it should be. So it takes him a little more time to get to the ball.
Escalona misses up.
Yeah, the last shortstop in the National League. Here go the lights. They're coming up now. Last shortstop in the National League to win a batting title was Dick Groat, 1960 Pirates.
Hanley rips that one in the gap, right center field. Nice job by Victorino to cut it off. Coughlin will score, then he drops it. Johnson stops. Hanley is rounded second. Now has to hustle back, and he just gets in.
Bo Porter was not watching where he should have watched. There are times that we'll give the coaches a little slack. Bo Porter did not watch Victorino try to throw. When Victorino tried to throw, it popped out of his hand. He automatically held Nick because Nick hasn't been running well before he saw that. And Bo Porter will take that. He knows he made a mistake, but he had already held up. Now he could have waved Nick Johnson home. He could have walked home. And that's why Hanley almost gets caught. Fortunately, he's able to get back to second base. Yeah, it took a while, but that was Hanley's 40th double. He'd been sitting on 39 for a while. And Victorino can laugh because it's 9-1.
Fisher on the board. Tyler Walker's in the game. And here is our Marooney called to the bullpen.
When you need a car, truck, or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
Top, bottom of the 8th, the Marlins have runners at second and third. A run across. Here's Tyler Walker. And Cantu up.
Talking about Hanley with his 40th double. It's the third time he's had 40 or more doubles. First Marlin ever to have 3 40-double seasons.
Here's the weird thing about his year, and that should have been not a double, it should have been a triple. He's got 1 triple.
That's right, that should have been a triple.
Two and one. Cantu takes down low. It's 3-1. Marlins have a long way to go in this one, and they've got Moyer to meet in game 2. Cantu flips it foul. One for 2 is Cantu. An RBI shy of 90. That RBI for Hanley is 101st.
You know, you are right about, you know, maybe putting together some hits and a few runs that sometimes can get you going and just carry over for the second game.
Cantu goes down. Walker strikes him out. Up comes Uggla. Uggla walked back in the second, is bounced out and struck out. Sanchez, Moyer, Vandenhert, and Hamels tomorrow night. Uggla breaks his bat, and he's going to get a bloop hit. Hanley around third, coming home, and he's in there. Hanley slides in with the Marlins' third run of the inning.
Well, the Phillies have got a few blue hits tonight, so the Marlins were due. Dan Uggla was due. RBIs 82 and 83 off the end of the bat. Half of the bat went down the third baseline.
So it's Paulino with Uggla at first. On deck.
Now the worst case scenario for Charlie Manuel is to have to dip into a little more important part of his bullpen in a game like this.
Get the 18.
Yeah, yeah.
Have to get Mr. T up. Up comes Cody now, runners first and second.
I pity the fool who has to tell Charlie that. Charlie, it could be like audition time to try to piece together his bullpen for postseason.
Long night for Cody. He has struck out 3 times. And so naturally, when you're thinking, all right, I'm going to get a fastball here, he gets a slider on the outside corner. Change up, popped up. Cairo makes the catch. Marlins will have to settle for 3. Still 6 down. To the 9th we go. Phillies flexing their muscles, 9-3 up in the 9th. First game of a doubleheader. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine, Christian Martinez. Also making a special guest appearance here in the 9th. Nice to have our producer John Seltzer back. Jim Holly, our household name director. Ken Lee, critically acclaimed graphics whiz. Later on tonight, not that later on, 20 to 30 minutes after the finish of this one, Moyer and Sanchez, Marlins and Phillies Part 2. Something to that effect.
Now you could say that if Montreal was still in the league.
Well, then between games, we would have plenty of entertainment value. We could make fun of Yuppie. Martinez against Cairo. Smacked up the middle. Ugla around it. A lot of hop. And Johnson can't hold it.
Now, just me scoring. That should be charged to Nick Johnson. But because it was one hop, it is. This is by design. Dan can't get a lot on it. He one hops it. It wasn't a short hop. It was right there, waist high. And Nick Johnson is charged with the error.
See, we're going to pause now. Tommy, if you would like to go down and embrace the scorekeeper.
Because I should when we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes when I go the other way.
Give him an attaboy.
Yeah.
Maybe a fist bump.
Just a minute. I'll be right back.
Paul Bacco is up.
Go up and give Ron a fist bump. Nice going, Ron. See, now, if somebody tells him that he's on camera, then he'll think that we're getting on him, but we're not. See, that's why I need to go down there.
All right.
I'll go between games.
Okay. Ask him if he saw the ball Coughlin hit in Cincinnati.
I know that guy was looking at us the last 2 games in Cincinnati.
Yeah, because
we changed booths.
And our booth was right next to the official scores, and there was a glass wall between. And
he gave me the evil eye a couple of times.
Yeah, but we stared him down. And I have a feeling that in a few days, Chris Coughlin's going to get that hit. Not that it's going to make any difference in the Rookie of the Year or anything like that. Two.
You know, it's amazing. The whole tone of a game is set by not only the starting pitcher, but the pitchers who come in the game.
Cantu gets an out. Uggla's turn. Not in time.
And when you see a guy like Badenhop come in, he's throwing strikes. It's just a little more something. But when Andrew Miller comes in, Martinez a little struggling with control, you just get a different feeling out there.
Here is Francisco. Ben Francisco, product of UCLA, so he and Conine have something in common. Grew up in Anaheim. Was a high school teammate of Ryan Garco's Servite High School.
I can imagine we might even be getting some angry emails by now too, Rich.
Well, we don't shy away from emails, good times, bad times.
We take them head on.
Three and one. See, our producer, John Solster, is ready to open the mailbag already.
We could dabble in a couple. Well, I guess we already did. We talked about how players are paid. They're sent up after to be sent back down.
In the air, Maben is there. We actually have a weak email of the night.
Weak, W-E-A-K.
Well, it's Mo from Miami Lakes. And he says, sorry for the weak contribution. But have you guys ever noticed that after almost every pitch, the hopper actually hops on the mound? His wife Jenny made that observation. And then he says, sorry for the weak contribution.
Well, here, let's see. Here's the pitch. There's the hop. So a woman's perspective of the hopper.
Rollins takes a fastball up. Jeff in Port St. Lucie wants to know, Coughlin for Rookie of the Year. Fans need to start an email campaign. Who would you guys suggest we bombard? Well, you might want to start with TBS, who had the poll this weekend that didn't even have Coughlin's name on it.
Yeah.
But if that's a writer's vote, right? Rookie of the Year?
Yes.
Baseball writers?
Actually, the Baseball Writers Association.
So Baseball Writers Association.
BBWA.
I'm not sure if they have a contact point, or if you want to hunt down every writer and send them a note. Liner, Johnson makes the catch. Bottom of the ninth coming up. First game of a doubleheader. Marlins need runs, and they need them fast. Inning, first game, doubleheader, Marlins and Phillies. Our checkers double of the game. Well, we're going to go double hits. Pair of hits for Chris Coghlan as he tries to win that Rookie of the Year award. Coghlan has upped his average to .311. Currently 8th in the National League in hitting.
See, the tough part, and this is why you need to get word out around baseball, and if the wrong information gets out there, if people aren't hearing about Chris Coghlan, how are those on the West Coast who haven't seen the Marlins in quite some time? How are they going to vote? Because they haven't heard about it.
The writers on the West Coast.
Yeah, the writers out there. So well, if they're doing their job, they'll look in at all the numbers. They'll realize where he's playing, where he's hitting in the lineup. They'll do their work.
I think one of the things that works against him is glowed pinch hits. Is where will you look? Say if you wanted to look and see who's hot, who's having a great year for rookies, and you open up the stats page, I find myself, first place I look, home run and RBIs.
Yeah,
and just naturally. That's
why a guy like Garrett Jones,
right,
and Casey McGee are getting some recognition because they have. But I think Coghlan has more RBIs than one of those guys.
Yeah, if you look deeper though, you see Coghlan. A strike. Glow didn't like that count. You see Coghlan in the top 10 in hitting, and that's not rookies, that's everybody. You see him 6th in the National League in hitting with runners in scoring position, and you realize he's been in the leadoff spot.
Yeah, Garrett Jones has 40 RBIs. Coghlan has 42.
Glow bounces out. Maven comes up. Coghlan's going to get another AB in this game. This is Maven's second at bat. He popped out back in the 8th. Now, of course, there are a couple of pitchers that are vying for that award as well. Jay Happ and Tommy Hanson.
Without question. I think I would be less upset. Of course, you know me, I'm not going to get upset one way or the other. Then I would be less upset if it were a pitcher, if it were Tommy Hanson.
Yep. Okay, I'll buy that. Here's our Mercedes E-Class attention assist of the game. Now, this was the play. Ugla bounces it. Johnson mishandles it. Tommy said, that should be an E3. And you know what? It was. And there's the official score. A little fist bump. Nicely done.
So we like to give credit when credit is due. Attaboy, Ron.
Because that is not an easy job.
No, it isn't.
Being the official scorekeeper of a major league game. Coghlan takes a strike. So I think, you know, automatically, just to check in on the rookies, you see home runs, RBIs, and Coghlan's not leading the home runs.
But it's not a year where a rookie, if a rookie had 30 home runs, now I'd be thinking something different.
But he leads in hits, he leads in batting average, multi-hit games, total bases, runs, on-base percentage. Fouls it back. And he leads the majors in hits since the All-Star break, ahead of Derek Jeter. He's hit 362 since the All-Star break, and that's 5th in all of baseball. And he's hitting leadoff for a team that's been in a race.
In meaningful games, yeah.
So we've made the arguments.
We just hope others are listening.
2-2. Worth is there and makes the catch. So Coghlan sends that one just shy of the warning track.